Hey, and welcome to the Whaler Guys Show. We're here tonight to talk about the Whalers. I'm Peter Hindle. I'm one of the Whaler guys. Jerry Irwin is off probably getting his legs waxed, so he won't be here tonight. But, you know, I got a lot to talk to you about because there's a lot going on still. So we're surprised to hear some good things about Hartford. We're also going to talk about some things going on with the Booster Club. And we also wanted to talk about the passing of Ed Snider, who was the owner of the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how impactful he was to Hartford Hockey and how it all began. But tonight, you know, the good news is that there's still some rumors coming around about the NHL coming through Hartford. There was just about the last 2 weeks I've heard from several different people. Of course, they don't want to be named or be brought online, but they do, you know, they're employees of the city, or they work downtown, or they talk to somebody who, you know, is in the middle of a process with the state or the city. And, you know, from those gatherings, you hear different things. Some things don't add up, some things kind of do. But, you know, several different sources have told us that the NHL has been downtown. Now, the risk that we run is it like the Patriots deal? In other words, where these teams, and I don't know what the teams are, but, you know, let's assume that they're the Coyotes, the Islanders, the Hurricanes, you know, teams along those lines that are suffering in their current situation financially. If those teams are taking a peek at Hartford, are they tugging on Hartford's heartstrings just to use this as bait against other cities to get them to build arenas? If you've seen recently, the Phoenix Coyotes, Anthony LeBlanc and Anthony Barraway, who own the team. Barraway owns about 54%, and LeBlanc owns the remaining parts. But anyway, they're doing a lot in the downtown area to try and find a home, because their Glendale Arena site, the Gila Arena in Glendale, Arizona, is something where the lease has been cut. So they are not really welcome there anymore. So they have about another year on this temporary lease they set up with the city of Glendale. And the Coyotes are giving a couple shots back too. On Twitter, they released, you know, an internet meme that said, you know, we play in a place that wasn't built for hockey, but we sure are ready. So, you know, they're kind of taking a little shots. So they kind of soured the milk in Glendale, and that leaves, you know, are they going to Phoenix? There was even a rumor about them going to an Indian reservation of all places, which, you know, it's not that strange when you think about it here. The Mohegan Sun are located, you know, on a basketball team that's located in Mohegan Sun Casino down in Uncasville, around that area. So, you know, it's not that strange to see maybe sports moving to, you know, these types of places where, you know, it'll be, but the problem is the difference in the laws. So teams wouldn't have as many, you know, rights to do things that they want with the arena and so forth. But that's another entanglement, and I don't, you know, no one kind of sees that foregoing. But there was mention of them going to a reservation. There was also talk of them doing something in the Tucson area, or doing something with a new arena, and needing about like 50 to 60 acres to purchase land to have an arena done, and then having some of it publicly financed through a tax district, which you need about 150,000 people to do this. So, you know, they're going to need a large-scale area in Arizona. And, you know, they've bounced around because they've been in Phoenix, and then, you know, they were in Glendale, and this arena was built for them like 12 years ago. So, for some reason, the NHL is just they seem very, according to the information you read online from different reporters, the NHL seems very stiff about trying to keep this market. Now, it is the 11th, Phoenix, Arizona is the 11th largest media market in the country. So, you know, it is one of those big media markets. And if you remember Atlanta, the Atlanta Thrashers, when they moved to Winnipeg, you know, that was another large market. It was I think the 9th largest media market. And they went to Winnipeg, which is not really a media market that NBC can use, because, you know, it's Canadian TV rights once you go over the border. So, you know, I think that the NHL is so interested in this TV rights, and they feel like they can't leave the Phoenix area, the Arizona area, because of the size of the TV market. However, that being said, with Hartford being as it is the 30th largest media market, and the largest market without a pro team. But it's all about these renovations, which, you know, we'll kind of get to. But there's also stories about the Islanders, a lot of people unhappy with the seating, the arrangements, the Islander games. You know, they have some attendance issues as well. But you know, the problem with the Islanders is there is a long lease. But the really good news is, just like with every lease we've ever heard about, it's breakable, and it's been well reported that there is a way for the Islanders to get out of that lease. And if they did, would they consider Hartford? Are they one of the teams that are looking at the XL Center and the renovation plans? We know that the NHL has been here. We just don't know what specifics, what teams have been here, who specifically has been here. There's been some rumblings of some pretty high up NHL people. So, and you may be thinking, why doesn't Hartford Current pick up on it? And I really don't know. Maybe it just is not one of those things where it's a little bit under the radar. There was particular one time when we heard that they may be staying at a hotel downtown. And once we got word of that, that hotel was empty, and they moved to another location, I guess, just to kind of keep things off the radar. So if they are doing that, there's just concern about the XL Center, I'm sure, because there's no way that the NHL can come back to Hartford with the arena the way it is now currently, needing all the work it does need. And it's really not the best time to talk about funding sports complexes, especially when the state is currently in a budget crisis crunch, and there unfortunately is going to be layoffs. And you really can't talk about building sports stadiums when people are losing their jobs. Losing your job is a very extremely difficult and tough thing to deal with. So I think that's why the arena talk has kind of gone away, gone to a back burner, because the state is in need to fix these deficit issues, and also to deal with these layoffs and cutbacks, which are really hurting people. So, but that being said, we're still aware that there have been some things that they can do with the XL Center in the meantime. This would mean pushing the money back another year into another budget, or possibly trying to break it up into separate budgets so that the punch of the $250 million is not so difficult. But that would be something that we'd have to wait and see. But what we were told most recently was that the money would be coming probably in next summer. Would be something that you'd look at renovations for the XL Center, and that would be good. You would have loved to have seen it this summer, but there's not going to be any heavy lifting renovations this summer for sure. I think that was their plan, CRDA's plan, the Capital Region Development Authority, but that just wasn't the cake. You saw about a week ago there was a New York Post article that mentioned Hartford and the XL Center and the $250 million remodel. And that article got a lot of play downtown, on Facebook, on social media, Twitter. And the whole point of the article was a lot of repeat information. You did feel that way. And there was talk about getting BBB architects to come here and do the heavy lifting and renovation work, and they're also the group that did MSG, so they're an NHL-approved vendor. We're talking about an NHL-approved vendor is going to be working on the XL Center at some point. The article went all over this, but this was news that we already knew. However, there was absolutely one piece of information in the article under the New York Post about private investment, which was really significant, because in all this time that we've been following these stories, and Jerry and I have been here doing the show, 5 years this August, and all the time that we've done the 5 years, we've only heard about the private investment from one person. That's been Daniel Malloy, and he has never revealed any of the sources of those private investors, so you don't really know who they are. But this article mentioned that discussions and topics about building, investing in the XL Center, that private investment talks have accelerated, was the word. So that was very interesting to hear private investment, because if one thing's difficult, it's difficult to get public funding to begin with, but to have a private investment, and we've heard rumblings and rumors that the private investment group has deep pockets, and that's the only thing we can go on, because Malloy's been public about the private investment group, and I don't think he really would if this was small potatoes or anything. But this large investment group, the first time that we've heard anything about it was in this New York Post article. However, as I mentioned, the article does repeat a lot of facts that we knew a year before. So I did reach out to the CRDA and asked them about the New York Post article. I asked them, is this the this point about the private investment group, is it accelerated talks? Is that a true or false thing? And the CRD responded and said that it was the same old story. So there wasn't anything new to them. And it was really a short response from them, literally like 3 words. Same old story. That's pretty much they're saying that they don't think there's anything in that is new to their ears. So either that, or there is things going behind that they can't discuss, which is entirely possible. And there could be confidentiality agreements, that type of thing. We just don't know. But the bottom line is the CRD did respond and didn't think there was anything new in that New York Post article. And like it did sound kind of a repeat of some information. And we did contact the writer of the article, and I didn't get any responses from him as well. But he did admit on Twitter that if everything would go well if the funding is secured, but he didn't specify between private or public funding. So those are still the issues. We talk about the NHL in Hartford and the XL Center renovation and what it would do for UConn alone. It's especially important that UConn get this done because even if the NHL never returns and we're dealing with AHL and UConn, UConn needs the XL Center to try and get into another conference, to be able to host some tournament games, to make the XL Center a place that can hold concerts and grab attention of big stars. As you saw over the last 2 years, the XL Center's lost two major clients. Cher, I guess, canceled her concert there, and yes, she's much older and brought in an older type of crowd, but she's not someone who was making stops in the major cities, but she'll stop in Hartford. And Janet Jackson was supposed to stop in Hartford this summer, and she has canceled her tour for various reasons, I guess family concerns along those lines. So the XL Center's had a couple of cancellations of major concerts, which maybe doesn't happen as often with more of the mainstream superstars. So, to be able to have the XL Center pull in, big concerts, big events, and NHL and UConn hockey, or AHL and UConn hockey, that's where everybody wants to be. And as we talk about those other teams, the one I didn't talk about was the Carolina Hurricanes, who, as you know, are dead last, absolutely dead last in attendance. They finished the season. Actually, they finished the season a little bit stronger as a team on the ice. But the issue with that is the Carolinas really has these attendance issues that were worse than they were in Hartford at the time the Whalers left. And is Karmanos ready to pack it in and sell the team? Is he ready to move the team? Beginning of the month, there was all this commotion about Quebec and Carolina. There was a report out of Quebec that maybe Carolina was moving to Quebec, but turns out Karmanos came out with an article, and I know that you're saying to yourself, if you're a Whaler fan, I don't believe anything that guy says, but in reality, he said that we absolutely no way he would ever end up in Quebec. Could the Hurricanes eventually end up in Hartford? That would be absolutely something, but it all depends on what's going on in their own hometowns. Would Raleigh do the best they could to keep the Hurricanes? And is Arizona, Phoenix, or wherever they end up going to do what they can to keep them? And is Hartford just a player? That's what we're really trying to find out. But it's exciting to know, especially after December, because when December was when we kind of got the end of our trail. We just got no information after December. Just like right around Christmas time, everything kind of went dead. We didn't hear anything. We didn't hear any rumors. We didn't hear any wild rumors. We heard absolutely nothing. And then about 3-4 weeks ago, things started to heat up. And it might be just because the end of the NHL season is here. So maybe there's just time to maneuver. This is the time, where teams can make their moves and stuff, doing those things off ice, so to say. So, just interesting. I also wanted to talk to you guys about the Whalers Booster Club and how much they've done this year and really changed a lot of things. If you were at the St. Patrick's Day Parade this year, they had the largest group that they've had in some time, 40 to 50 people, and with trucks with loudspeakers playing brass bonanza. It was a great time. So people are getting into the Booster Club. It's a Booster Club that's been going since 79, I think, around there, September 79, something around those lines. And to have a Booster Club still going, which will be this year coming 20 years after the team left. And there are some booster clubs that stick around, but 20 years after the team left, and teams like the Rangers and the Bruins don't even have a booster club. So it's pretty amazing that the booster club's able to do that. The increase in membership. They also have elections coming up this August. So that would be interesting to see if there's a change in leadership at the Booster Club. Right now the president is Joanne Corteza, the vice president is Joe Wysocki. Be interesting to see whether every office comes up for election. So anybody who can be elected would be on the board for 2 years. So you have to be on the board to actually run for president, and anybody can get onto any of those positions. So you can be a part of the Booster Club. I think it's like only a $10 membership, and they have these great, fantastic bus trips. And I really want to talk to you about the Booster Club had a terrible loss just this past week. Marty Avushchik, who was known as Mr. Trips because he had organized for a long time all these incredible hockey trips, especially when the Whalers were here. Big, huge Kevin Dineen fan, probably the biggest Kevin Dineen fan I've ever met. And he was a real big staple in the Booster Club. He was a past president, had been president a few times, talking to him. He actually helped create the Hartford Wolfpack Booster Club, and he would organize these trips that were absolutely incredible, and we went on a couple of them recently, and he wasn't so much in the forefront of making the trips, but he had assisted and helped and passed on what he had in these trips. And in one particular I got to tell you about, which was brought up by Al Victor, the past president of the Booster Club, wrote a nice letter about his experience and with his very good friend Marty, Mr. Trips as they call him. They had this bus trip back when the Whalers were here, and they saw the last game at the Odd in Buffalo. And so this is a long bus trip up to Buffalo. They saw that, and then they went and saw Niagara Falls, hopped over the Canadian border, got into Toronto and saw the Hockey Hall of Fame. And then after that, a night over, and they went to see Toronto Maple Leafs play the St. Louis Blues in a playoff game. And this happened to be at the time when Wayne Gretzky had been traded to St. Louis. So they got to see Wayne Gretzky playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. They got to see the last game at the Odd. They went to the Hockey Hall of Fame and Niagara Falls, all on this one bus trip. And the playoff game that they were in, actually, it was Marty that got tickets at the last minute. It was kind of a last minute thing. They didn't know they were going to go see that, and happened to be in Toronto, and there happened to be the hockey game. And Marty had arranged a way to get tickets for everybody on the bus. So what a bus trip that was. I mean, that had to be spectacular. I wasn't there for that one. But we did have some recent bus trips. So if you are interested, now the bus trips are run by Brass Bonanza Bus. You can see them on Twitter. They're at Brass Bonanza Bus if you're interested. And also on Facebook, where we have great times. We usually stop at a restaurant, take the bus ride down. We make a couple stops, one in Cromwell and one in West Haven. And we either head to Devils or, we did head to Nassau 2 years ago when they were still there. But this year we did go to the Devils. There was some talk of going to the Flyers, which would be really interesting, a good bus trip. And there's always a stop at a restaurant, like I said, and you were looking at a hockey ticket, your meal, a ride, and you can bring a cooler on the bus, and it's usually under $100, which is just it's a fun time, and it's always sold out. So definitely, if you're interested in the Booster Club, you don't have to be a member to get on these bus trips, but if you want to stay in tune to them, you can be a member of the Booster Club and join that. One of the other things I wanted to talk about that happened recently was the passing of Ed Snider, who was the owner of the Philadelphia Flyers. He owned this team from its inception, and unfortunately he lost a battle with an illness and at the age of 83 years old. And the reason I want to talk about him specifically is not just contributions to hockey or to the NHL, but his contributions to Hartford. I talked to Howard Baldwin Jr. About Ed Snider, who, Howard Baldwin absolutely loved Ed Snider. He worked for the Flyers organization, so he was just absolutely, brokenhearted. Said that he was the greatest owner in sports in regards to Hartford, to Howard Baldwin Jr.'s thoughts. So, great owner in sports, and really it had a big effect on Hartford, because not only did the Baldwins, know Ed Snider and had both worked for him, but Ed Snider really made it possible for hockey in Hartford, for the NHL to come to Hartford. Even the WHA, Howard Baldwin Sr. had released a statement about the passing of Ed Snider, and had said that he got his first job there when he was 27 years old as the director of ticket sales, and Howard had worked his way up and then gotten into the WHA, and the whole time he had this mentor in Ed Snider, and he could go back and when getting the NHL a merger in Hartford, Ed Snider was a big guy that really helped Howard get that done. And there's just been many ties over the years when the NHL was in Hartford, that Hartford and Philly had this kind of like a brother franchise type of thing. They really had a connection, and so many players too. There really was. I mean, you talk about they shared. Mark Howe was both. Kevin Dineen was captain of both teams. Tim Kerr, Brian Propp, you can say Lindsey Carson, Sean Burke, Adam Burt, Kevin Holler, et cetera, et cetera. So many Whalers and Flyers played together, played on both teams. So there's that connection. And there's also the long pants, which no one can forget in the early 80s when the Whalers and Flyers both had long pants, and a lot of people didn't like it, and it didn't last long. I think it was like a season or two, so they shared that as well. The only two NHL teams to have long pants, but there was a lot of camaraderie in there, and that's always one of the reasons that I've always liked the Flyers, because of that connection to Hartford, with the people, the coaches and the players, and it was always that you knew that the Flyers were kind of helped make Hartford, help Hartford get the Whalers, make them the NHL team they were. So, and there were some good rivalry games in there too, Flyers and Whalers. Those were some good matchups. I can remember Hextall coming in his rookie year on Halloween night, and I can remember he, lost the game 7-4 to the Whalers, and everybody was on Hextall. Boy, did he get heckled by the Whaler crowd. It was a fantastic game, and at the time, it was the most goals that Hextall had ever given up in his career, and very young career, be it that, but pretty fascinating, and great times. A lot of really good memories. So we talked about the NHL rumors, and we're still hearing that, and we're definitely going to keep you advised of that. Next show we will also talk about Colin McEnroe, who you've read in the Current and seen on NPR. He held a open talk at the Watkinson School in Hartford, and it's called Freshly Squeezed with Colin McEnroe. So we'll tell you a little bit about that show. We went there. It was on public investment and funding in Hartford. Is good or bad kind of question. In that poll, or on that panel was they had Oz Grable from the Hartford Metro Alliance. They had Josh Solomon from the Yard Goats. We got to talk to him. And they also had Colin, of course, Colin McEnroe, and they had an economist, Victor Matheson, from Holy Cross University, which you think economists are kind of, going to tell you that public investment is never good, but, it was interesting what he had to say. So, probably wait for Jerry, because he was there, and we did speak at this, and it became a radio show that they had put on the air, but we did speak and talked about the Whalers' impact and the economic impacts that we saw. It was a pretty good spirited discussion, and it was very fair. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll also talk about the Fanniversary, which was just held yesterday, the 19th Fanniversary, and we're hanging out at Black Bear Saloon last night, and Pucky the Whale is there, and we're taking pictures, and then in walks Anthony Harrington, the longtime national anthem singer of the Hartford Whalers. Great guy. It was so nice of him. He stops in. He's dressed to a T. The guy is, he knows how. He's a sharp-dressed man, and he could sing that national anthem anytime, and it brings you right back to those Whaler games. And really cool and nice of him to stop by. So we want you to remember to watch the show when you get your chance. If you want, you can see us on YouTube as well. Go under the Whalers Brigade or Whaler Guys on YouTube. You can also see us streaming us live on video. If you go to hpatv.org and check us out on, if you can stream the show or use a on-demand feature. Those are some things to look forward to, and we'll keep going as it is. So if you need to contact us, we do want to hear from you. The Whalers continue to be a top seller and a top conversation piece in Hartford. We're now closing in on 20 years since the last game here. How many other cities revere the NHL club with such vigor and refuse to move on? The Whaler fandom has even spilled into a new generation of fans who have never seen the team play but pine for the NHL just as they had. What do you think about this stuff? So come talk to us on Facebook if you'd like. Leave your comments at Facebook. We're on Twitter at Whalers Brigade. You can find us on Facebook at Whalers Brigade. And we're also on Instagram, believe it or not. So check us out if you're interested and let us know. You can also contact us by email. I'm phindle19@gmail.com. And Jerry is jewhaler13@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you. Even if you don't agree with us, just let us know what you're thinking and maybe what you're hearing. So it'd be great to hear from you. So as we like to say, it's one nation under green. Have a good night, and let's go Whalers. See you next time.